The protagonist finds himself once again in a strange place and examines his hands in surprise. He discovers he is on an island floating in a haze with ruined Western architecture. The atmosphere of the place seems lifeless to him, as if no one dwells there. Suddenly, his attention is drawn to something mysterious in the distance. The hero notices the silhouette of a man among the ruins, which causes him to wonder. The man urges the hero to approach him. He says he's waiting for the protagonist at the edge of the abyss. The hero is startled, opening his eyes abruptly. He wakes up in his bed in shock. The hero realizes that he's had that strange dream again. He is reminded from the other room that he is running late, and he grudgingly agrees. The hero reflects that he knows the man from his dream. He continues to be troubled by the word abyss. He wonders if it has something to do with his recent studies. His father appears in the bathroom and the moment becomes awkward. The father jokes about his son oversleeping, and Sora reminds him that he's 15 years old now. The father continues to show off his body and the son turns away, finding it distasteful. The hero laments that he has to see his father like this in the morning. His father promises to buy a big house when he gets rich. The father continues to dream of the future, but the son skeptically notes that these promises have already lasted 5 years. Dad notes that it's been more fun since joining the service, spitting in the sink. The hero realizes that the family's life has indeed changed after his father's service. He recalls that his brother has been in the defense service for 3 years and plans to follow that path himself. The hero thinks that soon he will have to say goodbye to the usual family life. At breakfast, he remembers his carefree father and perceives his non-seriousness. The mother cusses, but the family atmosphere is warm. The hero is genuinely happy, hoping things will stay that way forever. Suddenly, an earthquake starts during breakfast. The family is distraught. Once at the window, they see something grand appearing in the city. The hero knew the end of the world would come at some point, but he didn't expect it to take this form. A huge tower appears in the center of the city, consuming everything around it. The hero cannot believe his eyes, looking at what is happening from the window. He notices the warplanes near the tower and realizes that the fate of humanity has changed with its appearance. The hero gets the feeling that the tower is connected to his dreams. He feels this particular tower has something to do with his strange visions. Another son tells his parents on the phone that he will go as instructed by the service and return quickly. The brother, leaving on another business trip, promises the family that everything will be fine. However, after that evening, the family was no longer able to contact the brother. At the time of the disaster, television assured that if you stayed home, everything would be safe. Later, it was reported that 20 towers appeared in different parts of the world. Soon, however, the news stopped as well, with the radio repeating the same thing. On television, only disturbing messages were heard, and people were gradually becoming afraid. The family was urged to leave the house and evacuate to a shelter. They began to pack, following instructions and preparing to leave. My mother wrote my brother a letter before she left in case he came back. They encountered different scenes on the way to the shelter, as if the surroundings wanted to communicate something. The hero noticed the soldiers in the military vehicle, whose faces read despair. Everything he saw around him filled him with nothing but hopelessness. He notices that the cars encountered along the way are covered in scary footprints, and from them comes a rotten odor, increasing anxiety about the future of the world. Dad didn't understand what was happening to the world. Soon the family reached the shelter of the gym. The shelter was crowded and there wasn't even anywhere to fall. Everyone around them felt a sense of hopelessness, as if they were waiting for a death sentence. Sora kept walking with his parents, and someone nearby looked depressed and forlorn. Despite the silence around them, the atmosphere remained tense. In this silence, some began to prank to show their existence. One of the men accused the boy of stealing the bread, raising a ruckus. The boy claimed he hadn't been stealing, but he looked scared. The boy insisted that bread had been given to everyone and accused the man of eating his piece. The boy was hit and ended up on the floor in shock. The others were surprised at what they saw, but no one rushed to intervene. The man savored the moment of his victory, holding the bread and the boy's hand. He taunted the boy, saying that he could now take his bread because he had had enough. The man stated that he would take his bread until the boy died. He added, however, that the boy wouldn't last long anyway. Suddenly, Sora's father stood up for the boy, asking what he was doing. The man rudely replied to the man to stay out of it. The boy's defense attorney demanded the bread back. The outraged man tried to attack back, but his father was stronger and stopped him abruptly. The defeated man remained on the floor in pain. The father handed the boy his piece of bread and the bully cursed the situation, but her father gave him that look, letting him know not to make a fuss. The offended man reacted with irritation at losing. He angrily warned to be remembered and left. Sora and his parents were watching. Sora anxiously said, "Daddy." Sora's father assured the family that he would look after them. However, the bully promised himself that he would never forget the face of his abuser. Sora remained silent while simultaneously reflecting on what had happened. Sora remembers Kagawa Eiji, who always bullied him. He thinks Kagawa is real trash. Suddenly, a guard appears and announces an alarm. Everyone is ordered to evacuate to the mobile car behind the shelter. One of the adults, not understanding the situation, demands an explanation of the reason for the evacuation. The soldier explains that the reasons are secret and he can't give any more information. The man suspects why the truth can't be revealed. Angry, he blames the guards for keeping them locked up for 2 days. He goes on to argue, if they pay taxes, they should know the truth. It became clear that the tension in the hall was building. That's when the threat appears. The enemies are close. Everyone is told to run. Sora, along with her parents, is trying to break free. He gets a bad feeling about what's going on. The guard can't hold back the door any longer and everyone panics and runs for the exit. Suddenly, monsters burst through the door, causing panic. People scatter in terror and one of the monsters looks intimidating. Sora looks on in horror at what is happening and can't believe what she is seeing. He doesn't realize what the monster is, and in panic everyone runs away. Sora and the others scream for help as they flee from the monsters. His parents call out to Sora, rushing him to the rescue car. People are rapidly running down the street away from the threat. Sora realizes he's falling behind and tells his parents to go ahead without him. The parents look around and call out for Sora, but the crowd prevents them from getting out together. At the last moment, Sora grabs an outstretched hand, trying to get out of danger. Sora tries to squeeze into a truck with other people, but they yell at him that there is no more room and if he hesitates, let him leave. Sora is angry and determined to act. Seeing the hopelessness, he decides to climb into another truck despite the danger and his parents screaming his name. After trying to get into the car, Sora realizes there's no room there either. He notices that another car is already full. Then Sora sees the last open truck and rushes to it. He rushes to the last truck just in time to get in. However, other people get in his way, trying to throw him down. Sora struggles to hold on to the edge of the body. Someone extends a hand to him, and Sora thanks him for his help. But the one who helps does so in a not entirely friendly way, repeating words of gratitude with a sneer. Sora is startled to realize who he has seen. His savior turns out to be Kagawa Eiji, who smiles evilly, and Sora is taken aback by this. Kagawa pushes Sora down, telling him to die in his father's place. Sora falls off the truck, realizing that this could be the end. He falls to the ground, hitting himself painfully. Sora instinctively covers her head, not wanting to die. After all, it's not every day you get trampled. He's being trampled and he's desperately asking for help. As Sora is about to lose consciousness, he sees transparent legs in front of him. A ghostly man appears in front of him. Sora can't believe his eyes. Once face to face with the man, Sora remembers seeing him in a dream. The stranger promises to wait for him at the bottom of the abyss. Sora comes to her senses, lying on the ground. Everything around her has changed. He doesn't realize if it was a dream and looks around frightened. Suddenly, someone attacks him. Sora is shocked at what just happened. The stone mace was almost upon him. A monster appeared in front of him, determined to kill the boy. The young man didn't understand where the monster came from. Besides, he doesn't see his father and mother. Why he is here, he doesn't know that either. He is tormented by the question of whether he is in hell and whether he is dead. Sora gets a wound from the monster's blow. It gave him real pain. The shards of the gun were on the ground and Sora realized something. He noticed that the monsters only kept coming at him. The goblin in turn was eager to savor the kid's flesh. Sora starts to run away because she doesn't understand what the hell is going on here. Sora recalls how the giant tower appeared and changed everything around it. He thinks again about how Kagawa AG threw him off the truck for his own gain. Sora is also not oblivious to the mysterious man from her dream. Right now, he is under a new attack from a monster that swings a mace from above. Sora is filled with anger and rage towards those who betrayed him and challenges the monsters. He gathers his will in his fist, uses a rock, and delivers a fatal blow to the monster. After the battle, Sora looks at the monster's dead body, realizing that he survived. He begins to scrutinize the monster and notices that it looks like a character from a video game, with some runes on its chest. At this point, Sora gets even more frightened, not realizing what's going on. Suddenly, a strange crystal begins to emerge from the monster's body. Sora is in shock at what she sees. A mysterious artifact appears on the monster's chest, emitting a mysterious energy. The crystal begins to float and flies straight towards Sora, surprising him even more. The crystal suddenly penetrates his body, causing him to panic. He realized the crystal had pierced his body. Sora notices that his facial wound is starting to heal quickly right before his eyes. Feeling unusually strong, he realizes that he is becoming stronger and has gained new abilities. Sora wondered if he could get stronger after defeating enemies like in the game. He thinks there may be other monsters on this small island, so he decides to check out the neighborhood to make sure he isn't caught off guard. Sora is completing her rounds of the island. He doesn't find any other monsters around. It seems to him that the only way out of here is the way forward to the ruins. Sora cautiously approaches the cliff. He notices that there is a haze over the island and steps floating in the air in front of him. These steps seem very dangerous to Sora. However, he makes up his mind and begins to climb down them. He ponders that this is the perfect place for the monsters in the game and worries because if it were a game, one could be revived, but reality is far more dangerous. He's afraid to risk his life to see if it's a game or not. With difficulty, but Sora makes it to the entrance at the end of the stairs. He cautiously peeks inside the ruins. In the center of the hall, he sees a mysterious tombstone with fire. Sora doesn't recognize the writing, but somehow begins to understand its meaning. He learns that the fragment belongs to a scribe, and if he collects all the fragments, there will be a chance to leave the abyss. He realized he was in Besna, and now he had a goal. If he put all the pieces together, he could get out of here. Sora is glad he got his chance. He feels encouraged and believes that if reasoned calmly, the first monster and wasn't that strong. Sora is determined and thinks he now has a chance of getting out alive. He analyzes that the first floor of the abyss was small and the monster he defeated was numbered 1. On the second floor, the monster was numbered 2. There were already 4 monsters on the third floor and the number 3 was carved into one of them. The fragments needed to move on. He finds only those monsters that have the right number. These numbers are a kind of key to get to the next level, and the difficulty increases with each floor. The higher the floor, the stronger the monsters become, but the hardest part is finding the right key to promote. Plus, the floor area of each new floor is doubled, and with each floor, the number of monsters doubles too. But as it progresses, Sora is also getting stronger. With each trial, his strength grows. The higher he climbed, the more monsters appeared. At a certain level, he encountered a monster that had previously attacked the shelter on the 12th floor. Right now, this monster could no longer compete with Sora. The more monsters there were, the more Sora's emotions dulled. He went higher and higher up the floors where thousands and millions of monsters greeted him. When Sora reached the 30th floor, he had to face more than 500 million monsters. Finding the right fragment was getting harder and harder, like looking for a lens in the desert. Some key monsters were surrounded by the special protection of other monsters. Some of them were hiding in caves, others were particularly hard to reach. The most annoying were those monsters that only appeared after destroying everyone else on the floor. Sora fought these special monsters. He defeated even the most dangerous of them. Fragments with numbers could be found on defeated monsters, and on the mightiest of monsters and huge insects. Sora kept moving forward steadily without stopping. On the 42nd floor, the number of monsters totaled over 2 billion. I think anyone would shit their pants if they saw a picture like that in front of them. A huge cluster of different monsters lined up in front of him. Sora, now with white hair, feels unprecedented strength and energy. The monsters were getting bigger and bigger. He notices that he can't remember how many years have passed, and in this world time has already lost all meaning. Sora, the huge monument where the wall is modeled with many notches. Only death and murder exist in this place. Sora marks another notch on the wall among the remains. Sora's face shows weariness, and he notices the new guests. He is surrounded by monsters that he has to fight constantly. Life here is a series of monster deaths. The monsters approach Sora again, casting a shadow over him. The huge monster swings at Sora, but he looks at him predatorily. It ends with blood on the floor. Sora has defeated his opponent yet again. With an easy movement, he dispatches the monster using all his strength. In the swirl of magic, Sora looks irresistible, his powers seemingly all-consuming. He destroys another monster and looks at its body with indifference. Sora no longer remembers how many monsters he killed. Either way, he decides to take another notch. Marking a new death on the wall, he continues his journey forward. Sora searches among the notches for just the right one because it's about time he found the key. Breaking down the walls, Sora notices something unexpected. A new formidable creature appears before him, but he shows no fear of it. This monster looks particularly bright and impressive, which surprises Sora. Sora wonders if this monster is the very key he is looking for. A new fight breaks out, but Sora avoids the attacks with confidence. A monstrous paw strikes the rocks, but Sora dodges confidently. He realizes that no matter what the monster's strength is, the outcome of the battle is still obvious. Anyone who comes in his way, anyone will fall at his feet. Everything repeats over and over again. All monsters are sure of their superiority, but they are wrong. Time and time again, monsters who think they are stronger are killed after a single blow from Sora. No, our hero is already tired of it. Now that Sora had so much power, acquiring new power was no longer a joy. Sora searches for the key to the 42nd floor, clenching her fist in annoyance. He vehemently demands that the key appear, urging the lurking to stop. His irritation is building because the cycle of killing and waiting to get out has tired him out. The story moves into the past. Once upon a time, 20 towers suddenly appeared all over the world. People failed to realize what was happening in time, and the towers changed the face of the world. The monsters that emerged from the towers destroyed the cities and wiped out the inhabitants. Most people died at the hands of the monsters, and the day was called Judgment Day. Those who survived the Day of Judgment were very few. Only a select few have awakened to the system's abilities. Incredible power was available to them. The awakening began with notifications on the system. The awakened began to receive tremendous powers through the system. These people banded together in hunters' guilds and brought at least some order back to the world. But at this point, the story is back in the present where Sora runs Volf, and it should be the other way around. Sora, tired of running, orders the dog to show his characteristics. The hero sees something strange in front of him. It was a summons. Someone is calling this dog to the surface. Sora notices that human speech is heard nearby, which surprises him after so many years of isolation. A magnet of light suddenly appears from the portal, opening a way out. Sora realizes for the first time in a long time that there is a way out. He has hope. Sheer amazement overwhelms him when he sees that it is indeed possible to get out. Sora rushes towards the portal, driven by the sole thought of finding that exit. He leaps into the glowing portal, determined to get out at any cost. System notification sounds. Summon of the Abyss cannot move more than 2 creatures at once. Sora is surrounded by magical chains. The system blocks an attempt to spend more than 2. Inside himself, he decides that no one is going to stop him from getting out of here. A desperate determination appears on his face. No one can stand in his way. System flashes and magical blockages don't stop Sora. He rushes forward. He gives himself over to his impulse, tearing through all the system's obstacles to get to the exit. At the same time, an ominous atmosphere prevailed near Earth's southern city. Darkness, wind, and bats over an abandoned graveyard. The girl with pink hair, looking very worried, breathes heavily and continues to run away. It's a level 19 Usanazaki. She thinks she can't let her pursuers catch up with her, but then her foot gets tangled in a vine. Losing her balance, the girl falls. She, breathing heavily, realizes that the situation is becoming dangerous. The one who confused you with vines says that Sanazaki is causing too much trouble. The 2 strangers demand you hand over a special teleportation scroll, pointing out that the item is too valuable for a beginner of that level. A man with a gray beard threatens her, saying he will be cruel if she doesn't hand over the scroll. The mage girl stops him and reminds him that it is forbidden to kill. You objects that it is forbidden for hunters to attack each other because it is a violation of the rules. The barbarian Toshida disregards the rules, openly mocking them. He states that he makes the rules hear himself by threatening a girl with a sword. The barbarian promises to let the girl live if she gives up the scroll nicely. Yu, holding the scroll in her hand behind her back, tries to intimidate them by telling them not to push her to her limits. The mage girl is sharply frightened. She realizes that she is about to perform a forced summoning and asks you to stop. The barbarian with a magic light in his eye is angry with you and yells at her. Enraged, he demands the scroll be handed over. You recoils and the barbarian attacks her with his sword. The sword stabs into the ground with great force. The barbarian notices that a teleportation circle has appeared on the ground. He uses magic, deciding, if she dies, she will take her enemies with her. Enemies panic at the realization. She will activate the force summon, summoning a monster that no one can handle. The mage girl orders her companions to stop you, but it's too late. You is determined to destroy the enemies by unleashing lightning. The heavens light up with a powerful energy discharge, shocking everyone present. The barbarian realizes that the magical energy is too dangerous and the situation is spiraling out of control. A storm of magic penetrates the sky, creating a portal. A summoned creature appears from the portal and those present are shocked. It turns out to be a level 3 Cerberus. But this only makes the pursuers laugh. They think he is harmless. Morally mocking, they throw a bone to the Cerberus, thinking it's just a joke. You is at a loss. Instead of a scary monster, a harmless beast has appeared and her enemies mock her, saying that she risked for nothing for such a thing. Suddenly, a clawed paw bursts out of the portal and everything is flooded with bloody light. A menacing humanoid figure appears against the scarlet light. The Cerberus has been disemboweled. The enemies scream in terror, realizing that they are facing a humanoid monster, not a normal beast. You is shocked. A man with long white hair appears in front of her. Sora utters with relief and surprise that he is free. Sora exults in the joy of being able to break free from captivity. His evil laughter frightens his pursuers. They can't even move out of fear, so strong is his aura. A commotion begins among the enemies. They don't realize who is in front of them. The mage girl directly addresses Sora without realizing who it is. He approaches fearlessly, but it only confuses her. Sora's demonic red stare instills terror. He grabs the girl by the shoulders, demanding to know if he is on Earth now. She confirms that they are on Earth. Sora is relieved to realize that he's finally back. Barbarian and his partner, having come to their senses, try to banter like, maybe it's just cosplay. But things are heating up again. Sora is just standing still, and his enemies are threatening him with the name of their guild. All as one strike our hero with their swords, but something shocks them. Sora's gaze is full of intimidating violet energy. He's clearly much stronger than everyone around him. A muscular man with a headband is horrified to notice something in front of him, calling it a monster. Sora looks at the man and can't figure out who it is in front of him. Soon he notices that it's a monster. Yes, it's definitely a monster. The man begins to scream in pain or fear when Sora attacks him. Holding the muscular man back, Sora orders the man to show him his number. The man doesn't understand what Sora is asking and tries to come to his senses. Sora's reaction is surprise when he realizes something important. Sora's hand becomes like a clawed paw, increasing the tension. The man becomes even more frightened as he looks at the terror-inducing Sora. In his fear, he loses control of himself, which is noticeable by the puddle under his feet. He realizes that even with his body, he is not capable of facing such an opponent. His comrades panic and call him boss. Sora orders the entire group to get away, and the people are confused but relieved to leave. The group retreats in panic, and the boss is threatened that he will regret it. The pink-haired girl watches Sora and is amazed at his strength and terrible scars. She wonders, perhaps Sora is a demon from the abyss brought into existence by a scroll of displacement. Sora asks the girl how many years it's been since the tower appeared. The girl doesn't immediately understand. She reports that this is the 5th year of the tower's appearance. The girl is surprised by the hero's strange questions about the earth, the scroll, and clothes. She says everything changed after the tower appeared. The girl explains, after the tower appeared, the system awakened in people and 1/3 of the cities were destroyed. Sora ponders how the outside world has changed so much in the 5 years he's been in the abyss. The girl adds that S City has already survived its 7th attack and she has miraculously escaped. Sora is shocked. S City was the place of his life. He asks in a panic what is happening to my city now. The girl replies that the city is already in ruins. She adds that strong fighters have gone there. Perhaps they can stop the monsters. Sora anxiously figures out how to get to S City from this place. The girl points in the direction and the hero immediately rushes in that direction. The girl is confused and realizes that Sora is going to go it alone. She decides that the appearance of the mysterious stranger should definitely be reported to her mistress. At this time, the wounded members of the group leave in the ruined city, one of them armored to say goodbye to Sora. The boss and his companions walk heavily forward, realizing their weakness against Sora. At that moment, a mysterious enemy appears in front of the group. His whole aura is threateningly strong. He can smell Sora on them. This figure demands to give up Sora's location in 3 seconds. The guys didn't understand what it was all about. Well, if they don't want to make nice. Flash and all 3 are dead. Status on the screen, dead. The whole trio was killed in a single blow. Meanwhile, the headquarters of the advanced guild Roar of the Tiger at the tower is shown. The young woman informs her superiors that all of Donazita's squad's life signals have disappeared and that communication with Sonozaki and the scroll has been lost. The man with the wine glass is annoyed. He realizes that the losers couldn't even defeat a level 10 summoner. The woman explains that their signals disappeared at the same time. They were all destroyed at once. The man is Mukailit, a level 118 storm priest. He notes that they were killed in a single blow. He gives orders to find out who did it. He gets an answer. Yes, sir. Next, Lit gives orders to capture Sonozaki at all costs and force him to explain himself to that man. Alone, List swears, anyone who touches his men will die. At this moment, Sora appears in front of Lick's eyes as he hurriedly headed somewhere. Lick smells the strong odor of blood and tries to figure out who the man is. He looks out the window, in the direction where the fight was. He is amazed, is this the Fallen Zone? Lift realizes this is an invasion of a whole other level. There is definitely some great power in the movement. The illustration hints, after 5 years in the doldrums, the tower is finally awakening. Lift orders all search parties to stand down. At the same time, Sora is rushing forward through the city at breakneck speed. Sora rushes forward, hoping it's not too late. He ends up on a rooftop overlooking the ruined City Fall zone, steeped in chaos and filled with bats. In the 5 years that Sora had been trapped in the abyss, the city had become a veritable hellscape. However, in the abyss itself, Sora grew stronger. Each time he was attacked, he never gave up. Sora used to be a coward, but now that fear was a thing of the past. Sora was now considerably stronger, handling even giant monsters. Over time, his senses dulled. He was on the verge of turning into a beast, forced to survive at all costs and feed on the flesh of monsters. However, thoughts of family kept Sora from becoming completely embittered, helping her to maintain her humanity and awareness. The monsters that once instilled terror in him now cause him no fear. To Sora, these creatures have become mere weaklings that he can easily deal with. Sora rushes forward and thinks of her parents and brother, hoping they are okay and mentally asking them to stay safe. The once thriving city of S has fallen into ruin. The buildings are destroyed as if they were shaken by a massive catastrophe, but no signs of monsters can be seen. Since everyone was evacuated, no one lives here anymore. Sora returns to her old ruined dwelling. He steps inside, illuminated by daylight. Even though Sora realized he wouldn't meet anyone, he came here anyway, for this place held his happiest memories. Spotting something on the table, he wonders. Sora finds a letter saying that the upstairs thinks he's dead, but his family is still waiting for him to return. His family has left his belongings behind and decorated his room the way it used to be. The letter says they believe he's coming home. In the closet are his favorite things in different sizes so he can change when he shows up. In the box is a map to the 6th hideout. The family asks him to find them if he reads the letter. Sora holds up a family photo, the letter again saying they will be waiting for him. The photo is signed by his parents. Confused and distraught, Sora cries, clutching the photos. Sora ponders how strong he has become now. He thinks that if he gains enough power, he can end this post-apocalyptic chaos. Sora hopes he can get back everything he's lost. Sora thinks strongly that he now needs to go to the 6th hideout. He looks at the city and is about to head east, but the roads are destroyed. The guy decides to go straight ahead. It's faster. He moves quickly through the ruins of the city. A huge monster that looks like a monstrous bird appears on the path. Sora engages him in combat and leaves a hole in him. With his powerful attack, the city shakes with explosions and blows. The guards hear a noise somewhere nearby. One thinks it is due to boredom at the post, while the other refers to the noise. They see an unusual light in the sky and are surprised. One of them points toward the city in a panic, afraid of what is happening. Another man runs up to them and says he's caught everything with a camera. They notice a person moving quickly through the air. They don't realize who it is. In another part of town, a girl is screaming, demanding to stay away from her. Men approach her and she excuses herself that she is just looking for food. The men notice that they have not seen the women for a long time and behave defiantly. One of them, with a lustful expression, assures me that they are not bad people. The ringleader approaches the girl and promises to take care of her, but she protests in horror. He tries to calm her down and scares her even more. One of the attackers smirks and promises to be affectionate. The man says it would be a shame not to use her body, continuing to threaten her. There's a stomping sound not far away. Someone is approaching, and it's a classic hero emergence scene. Sora looks at them contemptuously, calling them scum. The bandits are alarmed and ask who it is. The ringleader threatens John Doe if he gets in his way. The leader orders his underlings to attack our hero. Two of the bandits rush at Sora with guns. Sora ducks down momentarily and moves into a counter takedown. Sora lands a crushing blow to one of his opponents. Someone is still trying to do damage to the hero, but all in vain. Sora grabs the other enemy by the arm, and the latter starts screaming like a pig. In the next second, our hero rips off his favorite limb. The enemy fell to the ground, and girl panics and threatens, reminding about their guild, and at the same time, the girl runs away. Sora calls out the name of the enemy, Eiji Kagawa. Sora asks if Eiji remembers the face of the man he killed. Eiji Kagawa is in shock. He can't believe it's Sora Mikujima standing in front of him. Eiji can't believe what's happening and looks scared. Sora, with white hair, imposingly towered over this warrior, emitting a powerful aura. The bully panics and demands a retreat and doesn't understand why Sora is still alive. Sora grins in response to his fear. He grabs the enemy by the throat with lightning speed. The warrior gasps and Sora reaffirms her power. Sora claims to have escaped hell thanks to his abuser. Now he says it's Kagawa's turn to experience the same. Sora brings her hand down on him, wanting to send Eiji to hell. Sora is going to break his rival and strip him of everything. That power now belongs to him. Demonic images appear around Sora, inciting him to kill. Flashback to moments in the past, Kagawa Eiji bullied Sora, causing him to suffer. Sora recalls the humiliation and helplessness he felt. He is determined to take revenge here and now. Eiji, as a teenager, explains that he bullies Sora for his own pleasure. Sora remembers that pain and suddenly stops. Sora loosens her grip, letting go of Eiji. Eiji starts coughing and Sora looks at him sternly. The hero realizes that he is becoming like his enemy and experiences internal conflict. The flashbacks show how Eiji abused the girl. Sora realizes that if you leave Eiji behind, there will be more victims. He firmly pronounces Kagawa's name. Sora explains to Eiji that she won't kill him, but she won't let him go unpunished either. Sora recalls her suffering over 2 years of bullying at school. Eiji once beat up the weak, and Sora remembers it. Then Eiji tried to kill him by pushing him off the truck. Sora agrees to forgive if Eiji can withstand his blows. Eiji begs for forgiveness, as he believes he can't take a single blow. Sora calms him down, telling him not to worry. Eiji's eyes reflect how Sora is about to strike. Sora says she won't hit it at full force, but still beats the crap out of him. This was followed by a second strike as well. The entire floor was drenched in blood, and Eiji's screams didn't stop. Sora strikes 3. He orders Eiji to get up, but the man can no longer stand the pain. Eiji, with a broken face, asks Sora to kill him. Sora, instead of answering, kicks him hard with her foot. Sora takes his opponent down, shaking the ground with his power. Eiji's face is disfigured after taking all the punches. Sora ponders that leaving Eiji with no hands and no eyesight would be fair. Sora orders Eiji's men to take the victim to the hospital. He coldly demands that Eiji never show his face in front of him again. Sora walks away from the scene of the battle, pondering that the reprisal is over. He moves forward quickly, determined to go home. Sora moves swiftly away through the ruined city. Change of location, City S, buffer zone. Soldiers discuss their duties, wishing they were in a safer post. Commander Kagawa Tenji urges everyone to be on guard. He explains there could always be a monster here. A soldier named Matsura Shuki reminds you that this is a buffer zone and it's rare to see monsters here, but they'll still be vigilant. In the streets of a ruined city, soldiers in military uniforms are walking along and suddenly a monster kraken appears. The men notice the monster and a kraken spavna level 45 crab-like creature appears. The commander commands them not to panic and to hold formation. The soldiers open fire on the monster, surrounding it with bursts of gunfire. But the monster doesn't seem to care about those bullets at all. Matsura Shaoki notices that the monster's level is to high weapons don't help. The monster suddenly begins to approach, the soldiers preparing to strike. Commander Kagawa Tenji orders everyone to disperse and the situation becomes chaotic. The monster's tentacle strikes, the blood is getting more and more. Matsura Shaoki calls out to his comrade named Shun, fearing for his life. One of the fighters swears at the monster, calling it an octopus, and tries to confront it. Matsura Shaoki runs with a box of explosives towards the monster, the other soldiers covering him with fire. The kraken is being pelted with machine gun and machine gun fire, but it barely reacts. The soldier with the box continues to persistently approach the monster despite the danger. Several fighters find themselves right under the monster's eyes, realizing its threat. One of the military men covers himself with his hands and notes that the monster's attacks have suddenly stopped. The soldiers notice the Kraken freeze in place, as if frightened of something. The surprised fighters wonder what happened to the monster. Kagawa Tenji notices that the monster is scared and confused. Kraken's body begins to twitch, fear readable even in his eye. The monster's tentacles retracted, it shrank back as if in panic. The soldiers assess the situation, one of them lost in speculation. Matsura Shuki doesn't understand what scared the Kraken, but senses the change. He decides there's a chance and rushes at the monster with explosives. A box of explosives flies toward the Kraken's body. There is a large explosion and the fighters take cover from the shockwave and debris. After the explosion, the soldiers tensely watch the outcome of the attack and ask, did it work? The Kraken is badly wounded but still alive, his eye beginning to cloud over. One of the soldiers looks in despair at the monster that survived the explosion. The other soldier is horrified to realize that the attack did almost no damage to the monster. The Kraken's tentacle soars into the air, threatening to strike the fighters. At that moment, Sora, still as cool and dangerous, falls on the monster from a great height. The fighters don't understand what's happening, they are stunned by what they see. Kagawa Tenji guesses that the monster is scared of Sora. Sora stands silently on the Kraken's defeated body, and the soldiers discuss what has happened. Kagawa Tenji notices that the Kraken wasn't even hurt by the explosion, and this guy defeated him with one punch. The commander notes that few have such destructive S-class power, and yet this is the first time he's seen Sora. Kagawa Tenji decides to find out who this mysterious man is and uses a special intelligence skill. However, the system issues a warning to show respect, and he fails to get information on Sora. Kagawa Tenji is stunned at his inability to recognize the hero's data. The condition of the commander becomes noticeably worse. He loses consciousness. The rest of the soldiers call for a medic, for their commander has become ill. Sora watches in surprise and doesn't understand why there is such a commotion around. Sora approaches Matsura Shuki and expresses her desire to ask him a question. Matsura Shuki readily agrees to listen to Sora. Sora asks how far away shelter number 6 is. Matsura Shuki explains that the refuge is about 50 kilometers to the north, but it would require going through Area X. Sora interjects interestedly about Area X. Matsura Shuki explains that Zone X is a monster containment area where many hunters are now concentrated to repel the wave of attacks. While the two are chatting, the soldiers find many rare items from the defeated Kraken's body after the battle. Sora notes that in this world you can get drops from monsters, just like in the game. Sora wonders to Matsura Shuki how strong this monster was for their squad. Matsura Shuki replies that the Kraken was a level 45 creature, a very dangerous and powerful opponent. Sora wonders if the military is having serious difficulty with the current situation and asks how many monsters above level 45 are now on the attack. Matsura Shuki replies that there are probably less than 100 and adds that if there were more such monsters, humanity would have been wiped out long ago. Sora thanks for the information and says he understood everything. Matsura Shuki is stunned, reacting without words to Sora's departure. Shuki calls out to the protagonist, trying to hold him back. Matsura Shuki recognizes that his request would be selfish, but turns to Sora. The soldier asks Sora to go to Area X, adding please and bowing in respect. He explains that with a strong hunter like Sora, many people could be saved. Sora clarifies that the path through Area X is the shortest route to Asylum 6 and receives confirmation. The hero agrees to go through Area X, and Matsura Shuki is surprised. Sora says that on the way to Area X, he will destroy all the monsters he encounters. Meanwhile, at the rear of the front line is a military camp. At the camp, Commander Kagawa Tenji regains semi-consciousness. Matsura Shuki happily reports that the commander has finally woken up. Tenji asks how long he was unconscious, and Shuki replies that it was about 10 minutes. Matsura Shuki shows Tenji the potion, explaining that the healing item that fell out of the monster worked instantly. Kagawa Tenji recalls that they were saved by an unknown person. The soldier reports that mysterious hunter has traveled north. Kagawa Tenji repeats in amazement that the man went north. Kagawa Tenji abruptly realizes something important and interjects what the man said. Matsura Shuki clarifies that that person headed to Shelter 6 while passing through Area X. Kagawa Tenji rechecks in surprise through Area X. Solid admits that that hunter looked completely calm and left without hesitation. The commander urgently orders to contact Central Command. Matsura is stunned by this request and interjects. Kagawa experiences a tense wait until the appointed time. He looks at his watch and figures there are 10 minutes left, and Sora should be just in time. Matsura Shaoki returns to the tent and reports that he has contacted command on the emergency line. He asked why the liaison was being conducted specifically with Central Command. The commander replies that this mission is different from previous ones. The information was classified. Kagawa Tenji explains that Area X, the base of the current operation, is not designed to contain monsters. The commander says this is a bombing zone. In the Central Command Center, it's business as usual until an alarm signal comes in. Operator reports urgent communication with Sector B-22. Kumatai Commander-in-Chief Renji says to put out a message. The operator acknowledges the order. She immediately starts typing a message on her keyboard. A communication appears on the screen, code BWH3422, report from Lieutenant Kagawa. Kagawa Tenji reports that a mysterious hunter has just headed into the bombing zone, unaware of the operation in progress. Kumataya Renji reacts skeptically, thinking he's just being reported a failure. Kagawa Tenji says no. That he wanted to use emergency communications to warn the hunter of the impending bombardment. Tenji insists that this hunter is very strong and cannot be allowed to die. The staff officers wonder what kind of hunter we're talking about. The commander-in-chief asks about his level. Kagawa Tenji admits that the level is unknown. The officers are impressed and puzzled. Kumataya Renji ponders aloud. A hunter whose level no one knows has deliberately entered the bombardment zone, ignoring the rules. Now headquarters is required to run an emergency alert for him. The female officer suggests that the man is likely to be killed by the monsters before HQ can even relay the warning. Kumataya Renji mockingly states that Lieutenant Kagawa may not have much intelligence, but he does have a sense of humor. The commander-in-chief continues to smirk, taking the whole situation as a joke. At the meeting, the blonde man says that some of his subordinates are still not trained enough and cannot act on their own. The female officer is silent in response. The man continues to quibble about the situation with the woman's subordinate, believing he should not interfere. He expresses his doubts that if he reports to his superiors that a subordinate interfered with an operation, his commander will also be held responsible. The woman remains silent. A woman named Tona Sakimi, a Western commander and level 73 golem tamer, ponders suspiciously whether the commander would really interfere with his own in such a dangerous situation. She thinks such thoughts are silly. Tona Sakimi ponders that Kagawa Tenji, whom she thought was reliable, is the one who wants to stop the operation to save an unknown person. Kagawa Tenji, appearing on the holographic link, thinks of the incredible power of a man unknown to them. Kagawa Tenji is shown among his soldiers. He is pensive and concerned. Tona Sakimi remains silent in thought for a while. She states that she doesn't believe LT Kagawa really wants to disrupt the operation. Tona Sakimi threateningly makes it clear that if Kagawa doesn't explain the reasons for his action, she will bring him to a court-martial herself. Kagawa Tenji is dumbfounded and can't find the words to respond. Tona Sakimi turns to Major General Kumigaya, asking if he agrees. Kumataya Renji is annoyed by what's going on, but holds back. Kumataya Renji demands justifications from Kagawa that can be accepted. Kagawa reports in conversation that an unknown person defeated a level 45 Kraken spawn with a single blow. This news startles Tona Sakimi. She reasons that the one has strength higher than an A-rank hunter and hypothesizes that it might be an S-rank military hunter. Kumataya Renji immediately dismisses her assumption, saying that all the S-rank hunters are on missions right now and no signals from them have been recorded. Tona Sakimi clarifies over the comms why it's impossible to determine the level of the mystery man. After all, the intelligence skill should show that. The commander confesses that he could not determine his level. Tona Sakimi is surprised by his answer. He explains, when he used the intelligence skill, the amount of information was so great that he passed out. Kumataya Renji, to summarize, suggests that the stranger's level is at least 100th. At headquarters, all the officers are tense, pondering this news. Kumataya Renji confirms the stranger's power is truly exceptional. However, he believes that the operation should not be stopped for his sake. Eastern Commander Yuasa Nobuo, a level 40 for Stone Mage, supports this view. The military can't quit a mission due to uncertainty. Yuasa Nobuo explains that the operation will involve for corps and hundreds of thousands of soldiers. There are enough people to surround the danger zones. The holographic map showed the layout of the environment, where each unit had to destroy the scattered monsters after the bombardment. The plan called for the fighters to eliminate the monsters after the bombing. Yuasa adds that if the alarm is sounded ... the alarm will attract all the monsters to one area and the defenses there will be quickly breached. In this case, hundreds of thousands of soldiers will die. He comes to the conclusion that one life can save tens of thousands. Yuasa recognizes, even if this man were an S-rank hunter, the risk is still too great. Kagawa Tenji can't answer anything while at a loss. Tona Sakimi temporarily falls silent, mulling over a decision during the video call. Then Tona Sakimi regretfully announces the decision has been made. She reports that Kagawa's offer is rejected. You can't sacrifice an entire army for one. Final Tona Sakimi reiterates this is the final decision. When the call is completed, the phone displays an end of call message. Kagawa Tenji drops his hand with the phone in heavy emotion. His subordinates are also stunned. He clenches his fist, unable to contain his inner tension. One of the soldiers sympathetically places a hand on Kagawa Tenji's shoulder, reminding him that they did the best they could. Kagawa stands grimly, while Matsura Shaoki looks at him intently. Kagawa agrees through gritted teeth that the big picture is more important than individual cases. Matsura Shaoki is imbued with determination. He focuses his attention on the keys at Kagawa's belt. Matsura quickly decides to take action. He deftly pulls his keys out of the keychain. Kagawa is shocked and notices what has happened. Matsura Shuki runs out of the tent to the car, and another soldier is called by an officer, telling him that there are 6 minutes left before the airstrike begins. Matsura Shaoki, full of determination, rushes to the car, hoping to make it in time. Kagawa Tenji shouts for Matsura to return, threatening a court-martial, but he keeps going. Matsura's jeep quickly drives away while the rest of the soldiers watch from afar. One of the soldiers asks a senior officer if Matsura should be brought back. Kagawa Tenji decides it's not necessary. The officer claims it's Matsura's decision and he's ready to face the consequences. Matsura decides he's going to make it no matter what. He's tense and focused on driving, his face betraying anxiety. At this point, Matsura doesn't yet know how important the person he's trying to save is. Sora stands face to face with a huge monster on a ruined street. It was Sora who was supposed to be saved by Matsura, who would become the hope of humanity. Matsura can't track Sora's movements and loses track of him. He wonders where he could have gone. Matsura checks the clock in the car, noting that he took the shortest route. He begins to suspect that Sora is moving faster than the car. Ahead is a dangerous area called Area X. Matsura thinks that if he uses a loudspeaker, Sora should be able to hear him. He realizes that in doing so, the monsters will notice him as well. He resolutely turns on the loudspeaker despite the danger. Matsura calms down and prepares to address Sora on the radio. Generally speaking, a soldier is prepared for anything. His car drives among the ruins of the city. Matsura considers himself unfit for service but acts anyway. He waves, remembering the experience, holding a microphone. In a radio message, Matsura reveals that he is the soldier that Sora saved earlier. A soldier loudly warns that the area is about to be bombed and demands an urgent evacuation. Matsura repeats his warning. Sora hears it from the ruined city. Sora is surprised to hear of the approaching bombardment and wonders to himself if there are any other hunters here. He realizes that the local monsters do not constitute a danger to him. Sora notices the military planes, doubts whether the explosion will hold, and decides to avoid taking unnecessary risks. He doesn't want to leave Matsura in danger since he came to warn about the bombing for his sake. Matsura, while in the car, doubts whether his voice reached Sora. Huge flying monsters appear in the sky and the timer is approaching 17 o'clock. The monster's claws land on the ground with a clatter, counting down the final seconds. Matsura begins to panic. He has indeed been spotted by the monsters. Realizing the danger, he decides to leave urgently. He presses the gas pedal, hurrying to leave the area. The soldier looks away, worried that he still won't make it in time. Suddenly, the monster's huge tail collapses next to his car. Matsura looks out the window in panic. Someone calls out to him from outside. Sora shows up next to his car and is glad he's still alive. Sora asks Matsura what he means by bombing. Before he could answer, the soldier looked at the time. Damn, this is bad. Matsura realizes that time is running out by looking at the clock in the car. The electronic clock shows exactly 17 o'clock. There is no more time left. Warplanes attack, firing multiple missiles at the city. A heavy bombardment begins. Explosions cover everything around. Sora and Matsura find themselves in the midst of devastating blows. Rocks explode from the powerful blast beneath their feet. One of the giant pieces of debris rushes down. But our hero is undeterred. With only one hand, he stops the huge piece of stone. The command center screen shows a map displaying the bombardment points and the progress bar reaches 100%. Operator reports bombing complete. Kumataya Renji gives the order to use drones to check the kill status and direction of the remaining monsters. The operator reports that the drones show no signs of life and wonders where the monsters that escaped have disappeared to. Then another operator notices that the monsters are still in the bombardment zone. The staff member is surprised to report that the monsters at the very epicenter of the bombing were unharmed. Kumataya Renji is shocked and thinks it's impossible. A female officer asks if there is drone footage to clarify the situation. The cameraman begins searching drone footage to find out what happened. Everyone in the control center is watching the monitors intently, waiting for information on the situation. The video shows that an energy shield has emerged over the monsters, and the command is amazed that the monsters were able to create such a defense. An unknown hooded man appears on the screens and is spotted as a man among the ruins. The silhouette of a man stands out against the ruined city and the monsters around him. HQ notices that the drone has been attacked by a monster. Fierce monsters that attack with great force are shown. Communication with the drones is completely lost. The image goes out. One of the larger monsters breaks the drone, showing its power. The operator reports that communication with the drone has been lost. Tona Sakimi notices that this attack is different from previous waves. She realizes that the monsters are now aware of the drone's information gathering. The old man looks worried, his face contorted with anxiety. The commander demands the immediate evacuation of all soldiers from the garrison. Tona Sakimi orders a full military withdrawal and defense of the walls. The operator urgently reports that the direction of the monsters has changed. They are not moving towards the walls. Everyone at headquarters is shocked to hear this. Tona Sakimi asks where the monsters are headed then. The operator clarifies, this is Sector B-22. Mi remembers that a mysterious hunter Sora went there. Mi orders the rest of the drones to Sector B-22 to find out what stopped the monsters' advance. Sector B-22 shows the aftermath of the destruction from the bombing. The soldier Matsura Shuki is surprised that the bombing has stopped. Overjoyed, he suddenly realizes that he survived the attack. He is elated, laughing and thanking fate for saving him, noticing Sora not far away. Sora tells Matsura Shuki not to get excited ahead of time. The monsters are still alive and coming at them. Sora keeps a close eye on the situation. Sora pulls Matsura Shuki aside with a shout, saving him from a punch. A military drone arrives on the scene, surprising the soldiers. Matsura Shuki asks if the monsters attacked the drone, since this sort of thing hasn't happened before. Sora advises to delay surprise until later, hinting at a dangerous situation. From behind the ruins, a whole mob of monsters moves towards Sora and Matsura Shuki, and Sora tells them to run.